various locations via the miracle of Skype, it's the 40th anniversary season of the LTN Hour. Let's talk NASCAR with your host, Todd Bailing, co-hosts Brian Schmidt, PJ Noodleman, and producer Dangerous Dan Margetta. Call the show anytime at 414-421-7901. And now, the creator and host of the fastest hour in radio, Todd Bailing.
As the late, great Wisconsin Radio Hall of Famer Gordon Hinckley would say on the first of the month, rabbit, rabbit, rabbit. Welcome to December. I suppose you're going to tell me how cold it is in Wisconsin, aren't you? Well, we're in balmy Florida. Marge and I are in Tampa, and my partner, PJ, who I sat with last night and watched a pretty damn interesting race, is already made the trip to Pensacola.
Yeah, this team doesn't mess around at all, man. When the race was over, we all hopped into the haulers and headed north. And that's because traffic's a lot better. So here we are, 55 degrees, sunshine. They've already got the hauler washed. And I'm sitting here with Ty Majeski, the winner last night at the Bigley Memorial. First, congratulations, obviously. That's kind of been a monkey on your back for a while.
Yeah, it's been one that we've figured out a lot of different ways to lose it. So, yeah, the car was really great all weekend long. We unloaded, pretty close to last year, implemented a few things that we've, learned throughout the past year into last year's setup. And, smooth weekend. Car was great. Didn't practice too much, which is uncharacteristic for our team. And, executed well in the race. It was great.
Was it your biggest payday yet that you've ever had?
We were just talking about it. It was close. Last year the Snowball won 35 or paid 35 grand, but we don't know kind of what the bonuses were and lap money and stuff. So, but yeah, last night with fast time and everything, I think we brought home just under 38. So, great payday. Relative to what it costs, I would say it's our highest payday. Obviously just being there for 2 days, one set of tires for the race. It's a lot cheaper to run than the Snowball. So relative to what it costs, definitely our highest payday. Awesome night to finally get that one.
So the other notable thing for me is that, the tires, you just mentioned that as well, too. You guys actually practice on used tires. You only bolted one set of tires on for practice day, and you ran that because it's easier to get things dialed in on old tires?
Well, when things go smooth, it's easier to just, if you're confident in your car and kind of where you're at, it's easy just to not put tires on as much. When you're kind of nervous and you don't quite know how you are, you put tires on to sort of reassure yourself. So, when we don't practice and we don't put tires on, that usually means bad news for everybody else. Thankfully, it held true last night. Sometimes it doesn't always go that way, but Tobe and I have been doing this long enough together that we kind of know when we're going to be tough to beat. And last night was just one of those nights. It happens very few times. We've been working together probably 12 years now, and that's maybe happened a handful of times. So when it happens, you want to take advantage and win with it.
Absolutely. And since hooking up with Toby and Mansteads and now Todd Nagel, you've kind of put a revival of Midwestern drivers coming back down south, and there was quite a contingency there last night.
Yeah, it was great. Great to see all those guys come down. I feel like we kind of repaved the path sort of to going down south. Really, our first trip was Snowball in 2014, and kept at it. We didn't run the best that year, but kept traveling down, and every time we came down we got better, and I think it gave the rest of the guys up in the Midwest confidence that they run with us in the Midwest. Why can't they run with us in the South and other guys in the South? And so they were able to get down there and make a good showing for the Midwest.
No kidding, man. Top three for the podium, and actually there was what was it, guys? Like 7 or so in the top 10?
I'll go through 8 guys, 1st through 5th and 7th, 15th, and 20th in qualifying.
Amazing, yeah. Casey Johnson, 2nd place, and John DeAngelis, very strong performance, finishing 3rd. Seriously, I think this race alone is probably going to be enough to encourage more guys to come down south. It was quite the flex for Wisconsin and Midwest.
Yeah, I think we had 6 of the top 7 in qualifying and swept the podium in the race. So, yeah, just a testament to all the great racing and racers we have up in Wisconsin. It really is a hotbed for racing in general. whether it be tracks, fans, racers, race cars. There's a lot of good things going on in the Midwest. We have a really good thing going on. So it's really neat for everybody to come down south and kind of flex our muscles, so to speak. In my opinion, I think it's harder for the Southerners to come up to the north and run well than it is for us to go to the south and run well, which is really a really cool thing to say.
Why do you think that?
Like I said, I think there's a lot of competition up there, and there's a lot of racers up there, and I think that's the biggest difference between maybe the South and the Midwest.
Checkbook racers, you mean down here?
Yeah, in my opinion, there's I think more of that down south. You see some of it trickle into the north, but definitely not to the degree as it is down south. So, it's like I said, just a testament to all the competition that we have up north. We really push each other, I think, to be better throughout the course of the year. And, there's not really always one dominant car up north all year. It's cyclical. I felt like we had a really good beginning of last year to 2020, or to this year, I should say. Went on a pretty good streak, and then, we kind of fell off a little bit. And there's some other guys that won some races in the Midwest. So, like I said, we're always pushing each other to be better. It's cyclical. Once you feel like you fall behind, you strive to be better. And it's just like racing is a never-ending cycle, and we push each other up there to be better, and it shows when we all come down south together.
And a never-ending cycle continues yet. Now you got the Snowball Derby this next weekend, some practice this week, qualifying on Friday, and you're not running the same car that you ran last night, right?
Well, we might shake it down. Tobe says he wants to shake it down, last night's car. So, yeah, I know the plan is to run our two-time Snowball winning car, still owned by Brad and Nancy Manson, but ran out of our current team with everybody at Gearheads Motorsports. So, yeah, a lot of people come together to make this team go, and we've been together a long time now. Our core group has, and yeah, it's been a great ride, and hopefully we can get another Snowball this weekend.
Awesome. Good luck to you. Crew Chief Toby is standing by here, so I'm just going to real quick. Wait, one more question for Ty. You did have, I'm sitting here with Toby. You talk to him all the time. This I know because I share a bed with him, but not that you call while he's in bed, but you call a lot. You guys call each other. But you were also just on the phone with Joe Shear, who's on vacation. So you are like constantly plugged in to all of your racing programs. Do you ever give your brain a little downtime? No,
not too much. I go to bed thinking about it. You wake up thinking about it. It's just the way it is. Every racer I think feels that way. Yeah, it's just what we do. That's really it. Obviously, you take downtime and try and relax a little bit, but when you're relaxing, you're just still in the back of your head. Gears are always turning. So I guess that's what makes us tick, I suppose. What a blessing to have two of your crew chiefs be that same wired way, right? Yeah, he's in Jamaica asking me how the race went last night. What package did you run and this and that. He gives me a couple I told you so's. I told you that would work, blah, blah, blah. That's Joe. So, no, we have a lot of fun. Like I said, really a great group of guys around me my whole career with Toby and Chad Bryan and Joe. Really, I'm just really blessed to be around three racers and three people that, care about racing, but, and not only that, but me as a person. And I'm friends with all of them. It's not always about racing. So, I think those are things I'll carry with me for the rest of my life. It's special. That's awesome. Thank you so much for your time. Definitely. Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to just let Toby have a brief word here, too. So
You better.
You guys didn't really thrash on the car, and that was really weird for me to not see you guys doing that.
Yeah, it was, like Ty said, it was one of them weekends. They don't happen very often. I mean, we won a lot of races, but not very many of them that Ty's been really happy with the car. I mean, he's, and sometimes he's got to dig really deep to get her done. Last night was not one of those nights.
Well, congratulations. It was nice to see you in a happy mood.
Yeah, I was happy. It was cool.
It was a happy ride to Pensacola, I'll tell you that.
Fantastic.
And yeah.
All right. Thanks to both of those guys for coming on with us. We do appreciate it. We're going to come back and introduce the other hosts on this show right after these.
Miller Sales and Service of Random Lake is where to go for a trailer, no matter what you're hauling. Tom and Jerry Miller have been selling trailers from B&B, Trophy, and Bravo for over 50 years. Quality and integrity is what put them on the map on the corner of 57 and K since 1939. Home of the number 89 dirt and asphalt cars of Brad Miller. That's Miller Sales and Service. It's where to go for a trailer, just 20 minutes north of Milwaukee. Call them 920-994-4358.
As a growing manufacturing company, we needed security solutions. We chose Bonafide because of the services they offer, pricing, and trusted reputation. But it's their outstanding service and support that convinced us we made the right choice with Bonafide.
When businesses need security, they contact Bonafide Security Solutions. From locks and alarms to safes and surveillance, we do it all. We are Bonafide. We protect what you value. For your free security survey, call us today or visit bonafidesafe.com.
Hey, Matthew, give me a hand with this tree.
Dad, let's get a real tree this year.
Hey, leave that fake tree in the box under the basement steps this year. Get a real tree from PMF Landscape on River Road in West Bend. Any kind of real tree imaginable, up to 18 feet. A huge assortment of Christmas decorations, including wreaths in 3 sizes, cemetery wreaths, festive global hanging ornaments, bows, garland roping, and more. Stop in 7 days a week during the holiday season, have refreshments, and check everything out. How about a PMF gift certificate? The perfect gift. PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 South River Road in West Bend. Call them 262-338-8800.
Dad, our tree from PMF Landscape looks great.
Italy Rockford's on fires. Score! Overtime winner!
After snapping a 5-game winless skid with an overtime win over Rockford, the Milwaukee Admirals are home once again Tuesday night to host Cleveland. Pre-game coverage starts at 6:30, face-off at 7 on Fox Sports 920 and your iHeartRadio app.
And welcome back. Here we are, 12 minutes into the program, and I would like to introduce to you my other co-hosts besides PJ Noodleman. This is Brian Schmidt of Bootsburg, Wisconsin. Hi, Brian.
Morning. I don't want to hear any complaints about how cold it is in Florida. It's a whopping 16 degrees here on December 1st. So if winter's going to be like this, it's going to be a long winter. So
I know. And speaking of up by you, Dan Margetta is up in Slinger, I guess, right?
Yeah, it's just as cold up here. We had that get together for Bob Schneider, one of our listeners, at the Raceway bar last night in Slinger, and we were at that and stuck around afterwards, watched the race. Had a big crowd there watching it. They had it on at the bar, and we're all pretty happy the Wisconsin contingent went 1, 2, 3.
Bob Schneider was a regular caller and contributor with us over the years, especially on the Hangover Show, which is heard, on the internet only after this program is over. And many people knew when he was calling, and he was a great guy. There's nobody I know that really was not. He was involved in racing as far as you could be without actually driving a race car. I swear to God. And being a photographer and knowing people, it's his personality that really was the difference in that guy. And so many people love him. And this party for him, basically, for his after funeral, Dennis Prunty and Brad Miller put it together. And I guess it was a pretty good turnout there, Dan, huh?
There were a lot of people there. I mean, pretty much from the start all the way through the end of the race. So when the race came on, they had it on at the bar, and a lot of people stayed and watched that. And
really?
Yeah, it was a good time.
That terrible sportsman race you saw, too?
Oh, we saw the whole program.
They call them sportsmen, but in Wisconsin, they're called 602 late models. They're the same damn car with the same engine. Only the guys down here just run into each other all the time.
Yeah, Dennis is watching. He's going to be taking his 602 down there for Pensacola this weekend.
Be cautious.
I was going to say that was a real slobber knocker last night.
That's the name. That's the one we looked for. Yeah, well, I wish I could even tell you who won, but I was so disgusted I didn't pay any attention. It was a terrible race. And when we're cold. Cold is a relative term, I understand, Brian.
I don't want to hear none of it.
50s, windy, and
well, it was the wind. It's like wind chill. It was just super windy. The higher you get, the windier it was.
Damp. They say it's a dry heat in Arizona, but here in Florida, no, it's not. Either way, NASCAR goes on. It's been this is the time of year where they make announcements. And pretty much we had some things happen. First of all, I should just go to Dan Margetta and get the quick update in the legal end, because the lawyer for the for the 2311's lawsuit, made a statement, and he did it kind of on the sly when he knew NASCAR was celebrating Thanksgiving with everybody else this week and really couldn't come back right away. Dan, what was that all about?
You talking about that they refiled their motion for that injunction?
Yeah.
I mean, they redid it because they still want to have that. They still want to be able to keep their charters while the lawsuit goes on. And they had a show like a news section. They had a new circumstances they had to show, and they have a section for that, but it's mostly redacted. They got that to get sealed, so nobody can really see what that is. And a lot of people think that that's actual instances where sponsors could go or drivers could go if they don't have the charter. They kept that sealed because they probably don't want other people to know, because if other teams knew that, they'd probably be trying to snag those sponsors, kind of thing. So now it looks like they're going to have they have 3 weeks to decide whether to close on those Stewart-Haas charters. That's another thing, Darren, that purchase. And because certain sponsors want assurance that they're going to have a chartered car, so that's part of it too. Those two that from Stewart-Haas Racing, those two charters, they said there's 3 weeks to close on that. So I don't think NASCAR was happy with the 3 week.
Well, they gave the team 6 hours to sign the contract for crying out loud.
Yeah.
So we'll see where that goes. I guess that'll be coming up now next week or two.
Dan, when we heard that Mr. Hendrick said he signed it because he was sick of arguing about it or something like that, a guy that's worth that much money in a position that he is, that sounds a little on the suspicious side to me. Really? You felt like you were painted into a corner and you had a sign just to make it go away?
And they might have, but the thing is, they still signed it. I think they're going to be hard to 2311 and front row is going to be hard to prove in court when the other groups all signed it. Maybe they did it under just
duress. They'll say under duress.
But they did, and I think that's what's going to hurt them. It looks like it was a negotiation that went so far. There were some sticking points. They finally got to a point where the teams could probably agree on it. They weren't totally happy with it, and they said, okay, we'll just sign it to get it done. Well, the other two that didn't are the ones that are filing this lawsuit. So I don't know. I don't know what kind of standing they're going to have on this. We'll see.
I just can't help but think there's going to be a time and they're going to say, we've decided to drop our lawsuit, because what do you want a judge to do exactly? This is a private entity. You don't want to be here, you don't have to.
Do they get the charters, though, if they drop the lawsuit? Is that we passed that point or what? What happens now? They're going to be running an open car now because, well, you had your chance to sign this. We'll see you in 7 years or whatever the thing goes.
Oh, NASCAR will show a good faith, and they'll say, okay, well, we understand you were frustrated. Here, sign here and move on. And that's going to be the end of it, I think. But that's a guess that I didn't think it was going to get this far already, so it's already a kind of a train wreck. All right, well, that's your legal update. And by the way, I understood very little of what Dan was actually saying right there, because there's injunctions and there's good faith and all these things that unless it's on suits, I don't hear legal terms very often. So there we go. But NASCAR did come up with some really, really good ideas. We're going to save some money for the teams. We're going to start with the truck teams, the guys that are seen on television in their uniforms. I guess it had something to do with the fact that the uniforms that some teams were wearing were old and dated, Dan, right?
Well, it looks like it. There were some that maybe didn't meet the safety standards because they were so old. Basically, they don't want any sponsor branding on uniforms on the guys behind the wall, right? I think
behind the wall, no sponsors. You can take whatever color you want, but it has to stay the same all year long. And we highly recommend, but do not require you to put stickers on your uniforms that say Craftsman, Sunoco, Goodyear, and NASCAR on it. And it's got to be the same in everybody.
A lot of people are wondering online as well too, was there some sponsor that just wasn't happy that some of their logos and stuff got hand me down the line and were showing up on other trucks that maybe weren't running as good or as good a trucks? And that could have been. And now Matt Weaver says that NASCAR told him that they have a collaboration committee with owners that represent, I thought they said 24 of the trucks that run, and they all got together and they're the ones that requested this and NASCAR approved it. So they're saying that it came from the team. So that's
it came from.
I Ty about it. He said that it isn't that much money to get suits, so it's $150 per suit if they have to do it, but still.
The over-the-wall guys have to have one suit all season. They don't want you changing suits to match sponsors by race. So sponsors are allowed on the uniforms, but whatever's there is going to be the same from the first race to the end race. We're
Can you
going to
wash
save
them?
you some money.
Can you wash them?
I wonder. We got to call and ask. Hey, dry clean these. We'll be back.
Miller Sales and Service of Random Lake is where to go for a trailer, no matter what you're hauling. Tom and Jerry Miller have been selling trailers from B&B, Trophy, and Bravo for over 50 years. Quality and integrity is what put them on the map on the corner of 57 and K since 1939. Home of the number 89 dirt and asphalt cars of Brad Miller. That's Miller Sales and Service. It's where to go for a trailer, just 20 minutes north of Milwaukee. Call them 920-994-4358.
The checkered flag is waved over the racing season at the Fair Park in Plymouth. Congratulations to the champions, Brad Miller, Will Source, Travis Schmidt, and Ben Schmidt. Plymouth Dirt Track Racing thanks all the drivers and pit crews for their ongoing dedication. The loyal, dedicated track workers are the best at what they do every week. A big thank you also to the many businesses for their sponsorships, and of course the fans who make it all possible. The green flag will wave for another season next spring. We'll see you there.
From racing engines to street engines, long blocks to turnkey packages, or complete custom engines, just ask and Wagner Automotive can fill your needs. All backed by many years of racing experience. These years of experience have provided reliability and performance that customers need to win races. Wagner's has been building championship-winning engines for top teams from NASCAR to short tracks in your backyard. This expertise has carried over to street engines they supply to top custom car builders. The Wagner Company, in the heart of Wisconsin, is outfitted with the state-of-the-art machinery necessary to design, manufacture, build, and test custom engines and their accessory parts. Dyno services are independently available for anyone needed to test their engine. Wagner's Company can also provide you or your company with production CNC machining or welding services. All your questions and requests are handled personally by Casey Wagner. Just give us a call at 920-394-3557 or visit our website at WagnerAutomotive.com.
This is The Herd.
Wow, 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 wow.
With Colin Cowherd.
Detroit, finally. I don't think Detroit wins this game 2 years ago. I don't think Detroit wins that game last year on the road against the Houston-level team playing like that. The ultimate sign that Detroit has arrived. You can stink up the joint and beat C.J. Stroud and the Texans in Houston Sunday night.
This is The Herd. Weekdays at 11 on Fox Sports 920.
Welcome back to LTN during the great off season. Another announcement that was made, some kind of a big splash for NASCAR. Tony Breidinger is going to drive the number 5 truck, which if you were listening to this program during the Phoenix weekend, Dan mentioned it at that time that she was coming. Why is she really all that talented? What is the big deal about just because it's another female driver and she's, I don't know, I guess she's good looking. But why?
She's a Victoria's Secret model, so that might answer the question. Yeah.
Really?
Yes, and she will be in the 2025 Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue as well.
Oh, well, I haven't seen a Victoria's Secret catalog since I stopped being a mailman. Thank you to everybody that lived on my route that got Victoria's Secret catalogs. Because, okay, well, so she's good.
Can she drive? I don't even know.
Yeah,
well, that's of your opinion. I mean, has she won a race in the ARCA series? No. Has she finished like in the top 5 in a race in the ARCA series? I'd have to think long and hard about that. She finished 4th in the points, but when you figure William Sawalich and Connor Zilic weren't running for points, that kind of explains it right there. So I don't know. It's one of those deals.
Don't say long and hard when we're doing this.
I know. I was going to ask, is she stupping somebody?
I don't believe so.
She was in some other series, though, I think, where she did pretty well, didn't she? Like the way she came up, was she like in dirt or something?
No, not that I know of. Dan, I don't remember her racing anywhere before. You? I don't.
I mean, she ran a limited late model at New Smyrna that one year. On some, and I seen her in some Silver Crown cars, right? I think on asphalt.
Kaylee Bryson did that a lot. I don't remember if she did. She may have.
I mean, so and she's here and there and that kind of stuff, and mostly ARCA. I think was one of she kind of was there.
She has a twin sister that ran a lot of another Breidinger that ran a lot of more USAC stuff, but she's not racing as much anymore.
Okay, and didn't show up in Victoria's Secret, so that's why she's not coming up. I don't know. I hate to say it. Is it what's wrong with our sport? Well, no.
Well, I mean, she got funding, right? I mean, she's got enough to come and run a truck ride, and somebody thinks it's worth spending money on. And it's like everything else, though. It's a performance-based sport, so eventually the results are going to have to match, and we haven't gotten there yet.
And if this sounds familiar to you, we got someone that recently left our sport and is going to start racing Indy Lights, who was in NASCAR for a while and didn't perform. So, this all comes around. If you win, if you do well, you don't even have to win, I don't think, but you'd have to run up front almost consistently to keep a ride. It seems like to me, because that way they can say, "Oh, she's been so good," and or she's on the verge and all that kind of crap.
Or have a big checkbook.
There's that. Yeah, definitely that. Well, there were other announcements made this week. Spire hires. Matt McCall, you know the name from RFK Racing? Matt McCall is now the new director of performance for Spire Motorsports. Interesting. And some guy who I just don't follow all the engineers on every car, so if I got his name wrong, I apologize. Dax Geringer, he was the engineer on the number 4 car. Well, I'm glad to see that the Stewart-Haas guys are finding gainful employment elsewhere. He is now the technical director for Spire. What the hell is the difference between the director of performance and the technical director? What is your job description? What do you do here? Well, they're bringing them over. Spire is just not afraid to spend money. As a matter of fact, Dan, did I remember this right, that they had something to do with Cadillac coming into Formula One?
Well, a lot of that came out because this week that Formula One voted to add an 11th team with GM and Cadillac F1 Racing, which was basically the Andretti group without Andretti's name. Andretti stepped away and they came in. And it's run by Dan Torres, who is the guy from Gainbridge. The Gainbridge sponsorship, seeing all the race cars. That's kind of his deal. And I think it's Mark Walter. I think he's from Guggenheim Capital. And he's one of the owners of the Dodgers, or he owns the Dodgers. But that's like the big money there. And in that agreement with F1, they came out that they actually own other teams. The Andretti team in IndyCar, which is going to have Andretti's name out of it now. They own the IMSA Wayne Taylor team, and they're majority owners of Spire Motorsports in NASCAR, which is kind of like everybody said that there wasn't a connection, big money connection behind that team, and it finally came out that, yeah, there's some big time money behind that Spire team, and that's why they're really making strides going forward, hiring people. They ought to, with what's behind them. They ought to start really becoming major players on the Cup Series.
Yeah, it's like inevitable because you just can't have, for what they're spending, they're going to have to show results pretty soon. And, do they have the right drivers there, or do they have the best they could find at the time for the money? I'm not sure.
We'll see. Carson Hocevar has been doing a lot with a little there. So
he has.
You can say you don't like him, which a lot of people don't, but if there's one guy there that might win, he would be the one I would say would probably be the best shot at getting them another win. I mean, they got one already, an victory at Daytona years ago, but
Haley in the 7 car, right? And
yep.
The 71 finished second at a race this year with Zane Smith. He's gone, but they have Michael McDowell in there, who actually didn't do too bad with not much at front row.
Yeah, those, so they're making, I have to agree, though, Hocevar, he may not be the most likable guy the way he drives. He's good on camera, and he certainly was better than anyone expected, I think. It was a surprise how good he actually ended up being. There's a guy out of nowhere that started running up front. Where
and he never really ran the Xfinity Series. I mean, he went straight from trucks to Cup.
Yeah, and he's from Michigan. I mean, I remember when he was 12 or 13 years old, they weren't going to let him run because he was too young to run on the NASCAR series and on the weekly stuff. So they got to find places to go. So I mean, he's had talent his whole career coming up. Now he just got to put the part
also
together.
had Johnny Benson working with him as a kid. So there's that.
What do they call him, Dan? There's a nickname for him. I forget what it is. We'll figure it out during the break. We'll be back.
As a growing manufacturing company, we needed security solutions. We chose Bonafide because of the services they offer, pricing, and trusted reputation. But it's their outstanding service and support that convinced us we made the right choice with Bonafide.
When businesses need security, they contact Bonafide Security Solutions. From locks and alarms to safes and surveillance, we do it all. We are Bonafide. We protect what you value. For your free security survey, call us today or visit bonafidesafe.com.
Hey, Matthew, give me a hand with this tree.
Dad, let's get a real tree this year.
Hey, leave that fake tree in the box under the basement steps this year. Get a real tree from PMF Landscape on River Road in West Bend. Any kind of real tree imaginable, up to 18 feet. A huge assortment of Christmas decorations, including wreaths in 3 sizes, cemetery wreaths, festive global hanging ornaments, bows, garland roping, and more. Stop in 7 days a week during the holiday season, have refreshments, and check everything out. How about a PMF gift certificate? The perfect gift. PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 South River Road in West Bend. Call them 262-338-8800.
Dad, our tree from PMF Landscape looks great.
Miller Sales and Service of Random Lake is where to go for a trailer, no matter what you're hauling. Tom and Jerry Miller have been selling trailers from B&B, Trophy, and Bravo for over 50 years. Quality and integrity is what put them on the map on the corner of 57 and K since 1939. Home of the number 89 dirt and asphalt cars of Brad Miller. That's Miller Sales and Service. It's where to go for a trailer, just 20 minutes north of Milwaukee. Call them 920-994-4358.
Right now, the Dan Patrick Show.
Dan Patrick.
So Saquon Barkley had a wonderful night. Here we go. Let's troll the Giants. Hey, Saquon Barkley. Couldn't use him, huh? Saquon would not be Saquon with the Giants this year. They're a bad team. Might be the worst team in the NFL.
The Dan Patrick Show.
Dan and the Danettes and you.
The Dan Patrick Show. Weekdays at 8 a.m. on Fox Sports 920.
So Carson crashed my car, wrecked my car, a couple different things showed up. He has come a long way, particularly with his aggression. He seems to have it much more under control. Of course, now, we're not getting late in a race where he has to make moves that would win him a race either. He's been up front late in races, but we haven't seen, he made some pretty aggressive and brainless moves in the past, i.e., what was it, the truck championship race 2 years ago? It was the worst. Either way, I think that as he matures, he has gotten a hell of a lot better, and he could be the flag bearer over there at Spire. So that's interesting how far that guy has come in a short amount of time. Tony Stewart. Before I get to Stewart, I got to tell you, I got to go back to this formula thing. Everybody, it's apparently the most popular motorsports in the world is Formula One. I get that. It's probably because they race all over the world, and they have fans in every. It's the only sporting event in some countries is a Formula One race. That put aside, it just blows me away how much money is spent on that sport. There must be a huge payback because you just couldn't afford to put that much money into it. Now it's going to be a Cadillac team, but they're not going to use Cadillacs, right? Engines, because General Motors, of course, doesn't have that, a Formula One engine. So they're going to use Ferrari engines until Cadillac spends a ridiculous amount of money and GM will come up with their own engine.
For the first year, it sounds like. Correct. And a lot of this came from Andretti wanted to form a Formula One team a little over a year ago. There was talk about it. It's over a year ago because it was at the Las Vegas race last year that they had a little sit down after the valve box cover came off a car in practice and shut it down. And they asked why they didn't want that other team. So Formula One has 10 teams, 20 cars, 2 cars for each team, and they divide all their money up equally. And the big problem was if you add the 11th team, 2 more cars, you'd have to split that money another way. Woo. So now the big thing is, in order for Cadillac to come here, they must pay an anti-dilution fee. And as it stands now, that dilution fee was $200 million to be in there. That agreement ends in 2025. So the new sum, it's yet to be agreed upon formally by all the teams, but they're looking around $600 million. If you want to add that 11th team, you'd have to pay that to come in to help with the dilution of the money. So, I mean, think about that kind of money and how much money they're spending, but then look at the logistics of this operation. This entire Formula One operation was in Vegas 1 week ago, as we sit here today, and they're racing today in about an hour in Qatar. So you pick up the whole operation and you move it overseas. I mean, think about the costs involved with this. It's just silly money what they do there. So that's, I guess, where the crux of this comes. They changed the name with Michael Andretti not being a part of it anymore and having this new guy involved with it. Formula One is more open to have them involved with the operation because, I don't know if Michael didn't agree with the fees or whatnot, but there was a lot of issues there. So, but that's the kind of money you're looking at here.
All right. So we know it's big money, but I got to tell you, their sport is not as competitive as many other forms of sport.
We have Mr. Angry on the line. He might know something about Formula One if we want to go to him. He knows a lot about the open wheel stuff.
Yeah. Well, I guess what is the big attraction? People can't just say, I love the technology. That doesn't put you on the edge of your seat. What the hell? I don't really. You mean to tell me Mr. Angry is on the phone with us?
Yes, and he knows a lot about this stuff, so maybe he's going to chime in.
We haven't talked to Mr. Angry in a long time. Hi, Mr. Angry.
Good and a happy morning, and I hope all of you had a very blessed and wonderful Thanksgiving and time with your families.
Well, we haven't heard your voice in a while. You haven't complained about anything for a while, so we figured life is good.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because I'm about to. You absolutely know nothing about value in motorsports. Formula One is the best. Formula One is the best value in sports marketing anywhere in the world. You name me another form of advertising that you're going to get 20 to 30 hours a week of free advertising in 70 to 80 countries around the world in every time zone and everything. $1 spent in Formula One comes back to about $1,500 in profit in advertising cost. That's why that money is there. So this is another statistic that maybe it'll blow your mind. Liberty Media, which owns Formula One, generates more revenue in 1 year than everything Disney owns put together.
Wow. But then why, Mr. Angry, are the teams so worried about adding another team then?
That had nothing to do with it. What it came down to was Michael Andretti called the Securities and Exchange Commission and said, hey, they're discriminating against my ability to compete in a free market. And it's in Congress, and it's been investigated in committee, and that's why it changed. Because Formula One didn't want to go that route. It had nothing to do with Michael Andretti. It had to do with the fact that he played hardball with them. And Liberty Media also owns, I think they own the Atlanta Braves, and they own a couple soccer teams and such. They can't afford the bad press. So, you know, the revenue is unbelievable, and they want to keep their little pot together. That's why NASCAR's doing the charters. That's why IndyCar's doing the charters. But onto the NASCAR thing, there's one big thing that's not being talked about by anybody that, in my opinion, is the real crux of the NASCAR lawsuit. And that is the fact that they restrict a team's ability to make money. In other words, if you own an NFL franchise, you can hire any coaches you want. You can hire any equipment that you want. You can build any kind of stadium you want. You have free reign of what you do once you own that franchise. Same thing in baseball, same thing in hockey, you name it. In NASCAR, you have to buy their car from approved vendors, all their suspension pieces. You can only run at their tracks. They want you to sign a liability waiver saying you can't sue them. And by the way, if you're a charter team, you have to sign that waiver. And if you're an open team, you have to sign that waiver. Well, every ticket to every sports franchise you buy, or if you go to an amusement park, it says that on the back of the ticket, but it means nothing. And what NASCAR is doing is they're playing the bully pulpit with a big checkbook because they cannot afford to let this get into court where a thing called discovery happens, where they have to disclose all of that information. And they don't. It's kind of like when Jeff Gordon got divorced and she subpoenaed all those people. They did anything they could to keep that out of court. So that's the crux of the situation. It has nothing to do with the charters or anything. It's all about restricting ability to make money. So think of it that way. You know, no team is making money. It's just not possible in their current structure. If you own an NFL team and you sell it, it's worth billions of dollars. If you own an IndyCar team or a NASCAR team and you go to sell it, you have an auction and you get pennies on the dollar. That's what this is about. And the owners have finally woken up and said, wait a minute, we got to play by all your rules. We got to spend all the money you want us to spend, and at the end of the day, we have no value? That doesn't make sense. This lawyer that's representing them beat the NFL, and he beat the NCAA. And if they get into court, he'll beat NASCAR. So don't be so confident that this isn't over. I agree with you. There will probably be a compromise settlement because NASCAR cannot afford to get this into a courtroom. Just can't.
Right. Mr. Angry, we have to move to a break. I'm happy that you're back listening again, and we would like you to be a regular caller. Would you, sir?
If I'm on the payroll.
Yeah. Your check's in the mail. Good talking to you, and I hope to talk to you again, Mr. Angry. A very knowledgeable gentleman. We have to take a break. We're running behind. We'll be back.
The checkered flag is waved over the racing season at the Fair Park in Plymouth. Congratulations to the champions, Brad Miller, Will Source, Travis Schmidt, and Ben Schmidt. Plymouth Dirt Track Racing thanks all the drivers and pit crews for their ongoing dedication. The loyal, dedicated track workers are the best at what they do every week. A big thank you also to the many businesses for their sponsorships, and of course the fans who make it all possible. The green flag will wave for another season next spring. We'll see you there.
From racing engines to street engines, long blocks to turnkey packages, or complete custom engines, just ask and Wagner Automotive can fill your needs. All backed by many years of racing experience. These years of experience have provided reliability and performance that customers need to win races. Wagner's has been building championship winning engines for top teams from NASCAR to short tracks in your backyard. This expertise has carried over to street engines they supply to top custom car builders. The Wagner Company, in the heart of Wisconsin, is outfitted with the state-of-the-art machinery necessary to design, manufacture, build, and test custom engines and their accessory parts. Dyno services are independently available for anyone needed to test their engine. Wagner's Company can also provide you or your company with production CNC machining or welding services. All your questions and requests are handled personally by Casey Wagner. Just give us a call at 920-394-3557 or visit our website at WagnerAutomotive.com.
Miller Sales and Service of Random Lake is where to go for a trailer, no matter what you're hauling. Tom and Jerry Miller have been selling trailers from B&B, Trophy, and Bravo for over 50 years. Quality and integrity is what put them on the map on the corner of 57 and K since 1939. Home of the number 89 dirt and asphalt cars of Brad Miller. That's Miller Sales and Service. It's where to go for a trailer, just 20 minutes north of Milwaukee. Call them 920-994-4358.
The Doug Gottlieb Show.
Okay, let's start with this. Finally nailed it, Gottlieb. Forget that Dion has said he doesn't want to be an NFL head coach. You still run into the issue of Dion being about Dion, and in the NFL it has to be about the players, not about the head coach. But having a head coach whose son is the quarterback, I don't believe anybody thinks that would actually work.
The Doug Gottlieb Show. Today at 2 on Fox Sports 920.
LTN Hour presents Dirt on the Dirt with Brian Schmidt.
Not a whole lot of dirt track racing going on across the country over the Thanksgiving weekend, but there is some, as the USAC National Midgets usually take center stage, and they did again this past week. We'll start Sunday in Merced, California. The Friday and Saturday portion of that program rained out, so they ran a doubleheader last Sunday with the feature winners being in the number 1 feature, Corey Day, and in the number 2 feature, Kyle Larson. That worked out really good for Kyle because he had the banquet last Friday and was going to miss this event. And with the rainouts, he was able to get there and made the most of it by winning the feature event there. USAC Midgets moved to Bakersfield, California Wednesday night. Tanner Thorson grabbed the win there. Friday night, Casa Grande, Arizona. They continued on with their winter series there. The IMCA Modifieds went to Jess Breck. Mike Weddlestadt from nearby Fremont, Wisconsin. He finished second. IMCA Stock Car winner was Josh Kane, and the Sport Mods went to Taylor Kuhl. That's 2 in a row for her there. Ventura, California, the Turkey Night Grand Prix, night number 1. The Midgets had practices, but they ran the Ultimate Sprint Car Series, which is a combination of non-wing 360 and 410 sprints on that small little 5th mile. And Carson Macedo, regular from the World of Outlaws, grabbed the feature win there. Last night in Casa Grande, in the IMCA Modifieds, it was Chris Turchner, the winner. Stock Cars, Rob Mosley, and the Sport Mods, Taylor Kuhl again. That's 3 in a row for her out there. She's on a roll. Swainsboro, Georgia, the Crate Racing USA 604 crates had the Turkey 100, $10,000 to win. Brandon Overton grabbed the win. And the final and large event of the weekend was the 83rd annual Turkey Night Grand Prix for the USAC National Midgets. Their season finale, 98 laps around the 5th mile oval on the shores of the Pacific Ocean in Ventura, California. $15,000 to win, and Corey Day grabbed the win. That's his first Turkey Night Grand Prix win. The 2024 USAC National Midget Champion is Dazen Pursley. And the Ultimate Sprint Cars ran their feature, and Ricky Lewis was your winner of that. That is everything for the week. Next week, we move indoors to the Dome at the America's Centers in St. Louis for the Gateway Dirt Nationals.
Otherwise,
so a full weekend of that on Flow. So Flow, you can flip back and forth between the Snowball and the Gateway Dirt Nationals next week. So lots of racing to watch. And you don't have to worry about the Packers because they play on Thursday again.
Huh. And the guys down here are already looking. There's a chance of rain on Thursday, so that means they might get to just sit and watch the game. Imagine that. Turkey Derby for the paved results. The Turkey Derby 51 at Wall Stadium Speedway in Wall Township, New Jersey. The SK Modifieds, Matt Hirschman was your winner there. Last night, the Turkey Derby again there. They had the tour type modifieds, and Timmy Solomito was the winner. And of course, as we mentioned earlier, the 9th annual Billy Bigley Senior Memorial at the Freedom Factory down in Bradenton, Florida. Ty Majeski was the winner. It was a total Midwest domination. Not only did Ty win, but Casey Johnson finished second. John DeAngelis third. We also had Luke Fenhouse finishing 9th. Jeff Storm, did I miss somebody in there yet? No, Luke Fenhouse 9th, Jeff Storm 12th, and Johnny Sauter 14th. Andrew Morrissey was 21st, Derek Krause 27th. They had some challenges there with that. And we'll circle back to that, Todd. I know you've got some more thoughts, too. The 10th annual Turkey Shoot at Tucson Speedway, super late models in action. Bruce Yackey and Weston Marthaler were the qualifiers on that.
Driving
Day
Kelly
2.
Byers' car.
Yeah. Day 2 will be a 125-lap main event that starts at 1:45 p.m. our time on tracktv.com. Big thanks to Paul Reichert for helping out with the results today.
Yeah, the boy after qualifying last night at this Freedom Factory, Ty's on the pole. Sauter starts second. Casey was third. Fenhouse was fourth, and Morrissey was fifth. There's your top 5. Then Johnny DeAngelis was seventh, so that's 6 out of the top 7 were Wisconsin drivers. Jeff Storm made it, started 15th, and Derek Krause started 20th, and they locked 20 cars in. So all, 8 cars that came from Wisconsin locked in on their first round of qualifying. The 17 car with Kaler was down here, and Max didn't have a good, I don't know. They just didn't have it figured out. And
I think it's hard when you go to a track that you've never been to before, and you probably don't have a lot of notes to refer to. And it is a rough track. Turn 3 is super rough.
Yeah, I've heard that from more than one person. Just interesting facility. It was attached to a drag strip, and the drag strip was. By the time I rolled through the gate early in the afternoon, they were running the drag.
Yeah, they were running that morning when I got there.
Really? And
they
all the way through our race.
Yeah.
You could hear them over there.
They do motorcycles, all kinds of different cars race over there. It was crazy, but yeah, it's an all-day thing with the drag strip.
And some sort of club thing because it said no spectators allowed. So you race and you get to the end of the next line, I guess.
And that's a pretty prominent drag strip. That's the one where in February Tony Stewart has his big pro showdown where a lot of the NHRA guys show up. Last year they had like standing room only, had to turn people away for drag racing there again. I believe they're going to have that event this year. Again, it's like the week before Super Bowl weekend is when they have that. And the main event, it's the Pro Superstar Shootout, they call it. And all the big NHRA guys show up for bigger money than a lot of times they run on NHRA. Kind of a controversial event.
We're going to take a break. This would be a good time for it anyway. And we'll be back. We're glad you're listening. LTN returns right after these.
Billy Rockford's on fires. Score! Overtime winner!
After snapping a 5-game winless skid with an overtime win over Rockford, the Milwaukee Admirals are home once again Tuesday night to host Cleveland. Pre-game coverage starts at 6:30. Face-off at 7 on Fox Sports 920 and your iHeartRadio app.
Hey, Matthew, give me a hand with this tree.
Dad, let's get a real tree this year.
Hey, leave that fake tree in the box under the basement steps this year. Get a real tree from PMF Landscape on River Road in West Bend. Any kind of real tree imaginable, up to 18 feet. A huge assortment of Christmas decorations, including wreaths in 3 sizes, cemetery wreaths, festive global hanging ornaments, bows, garland roping, and more. Stop in 7 days a week during the holiday season, have refreshments, and check everything out. How about a PMF gift certificate? The perfect gift. PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 South River Road in West Bend. Call them 262-338-8800.
Dad, our tree from PMF Landscape looks great.
Miller Sales and Service of Random Lake is where to go for a trailer, no matter what you're hauling. Tom and Jerry Miller have been selling trailers from B&B, Trophy, and Bravo for over 50 years. Quality and integrity is what put them on the map on the corner of 57 and K since 1939. Home of the number 89 dirt and asphalt cars of Brad Miller. That's Miller Sales and Service. It's where to go for a trailer, just 20 minutes north of Milwaukee. Call them 920-994-4358.
Right now,
the Dan Patrick Show.
Dan Patrick.
It's not every day when you have your GM fired, your coach has already been fired, and you want to move on from your quarterback. That's kind of the trilogy here that we're seeing with the Jets. Joe Douglas did a pretty good job, though. But really, this comes down to they whiffed on Zach Wilson, and they whiffed on Aaron Rodgers.
The Dan Patrick Show.
Dan and the Danettes and you.
The Dan Patrick Show. Weekdays at 8 a.m. on Fox Sports 920.
Welcome back. I don't know if you saw it this week. I saw an announcement on Facebook that Dells Raceway Park is now going to be part of the NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts Weekly Series. Now, I didn't really know exactly what that entailed. I know that the track at La Crosse is a NASCAR track, but I really don't know much about it. And if you're going to do that, you might as well go right to the source. Track promoter Jerry Albee joins us right now and can probably tell us more about what is entailed in becoming a NASCAR track.
Hey, Todd. Good morning. How are you?
Hi. Good.
Long time no talk. Well, you know, the NASCAR thing, they've been approached me way back since Lensing was still involved in the owning of the racetrack. They've been around, and they've got a neat program where pretty much when you have a NASCAR track, you're going to pick 4 divisions. So you got Division 1, 2, 3, and 4. And those 4 are eligible to get for national and regional point funds, Rookie of the Year point funds, things of this nature throughout the nation. It's just like how the INEX Legends thing works, really, which has become prominent nowadays, where they gain points at every track that they race at, you know, and then we have an overall champion. The reason why I did it, Todd, is you touched on so many things in your show today when it came time to, you know, legalities and insurance and marketing partners and Formula One and money and this and that. Well, we get into all that. And what it comes down to is I really got thinking. This year my mother had a fall, right? And so she's retired from Oscar Myers, got her insurance there. And she had some leg problems and she broke a few discs in her back.
Oh, boy.
And yeah. And then, well, what happened, Todd, is I got a phone call one day, and the insurance company says, well, we're done. kicking her out of the hospital bed, take her home. You've exceeded your limits. And that's the way it is nowadays. So if you're, that really got me thinking about this program with the insurance and things that NASCAR offers the driver. I mean, where are you going to get, like for a support division, where are you going to get $1 million+ insurance policy on top of your own insurance if you get pinned in a car and hurt your leg and lose time from work and things of these nature as a racer? Or even if you're in the, a pit crew member and have a policy and, you get hurt in the pits working on the car. Where are you going to buy a policy for $1 million for $100?
Wow.
Nowhere. Yep. So, like on my mother's case, she had $1 million policy. Well, guess what? From May till June, we burned that up.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So, now, the whole thing, no estate planning, things of that nature. And she's, in a nursing home, losing her house. And, you don't need that happening because you're out having fun at a racetrack. So that's part of it on the insurance. So now you're covered, with your own insurance and NASCAR insurance. If you're racing in 4 NASCAR divisions, you get almost over $2 million to help out.
So insurance is a big part of that, and they came
insurance
to you
is a big part of that.
Right? What about
they came to me.
Regional champion Jerry?
Well, regional champion, I believe Jacob Cady won it again this year, and he's had that. So, Todd, if you look at the map for the Midwest region where the tracks are in Wisconsin, with losing of Rockford Speedway, things of this nature with the closing of that, they needed more tracks. And they're looking for more tracks. And to really make this NASCAR deal fun in Wisconsin and raise the level of racing without a lot of traveling, you were just talking about going down to Florida with all the Wisconsin drivers being in the top 5 in time and things. Well, that's great. But wouldn't it be nice to do that at home between Slinger, Madison, Dells, Jefferson, La Crosse, whatever. They have something that can put you on the national stage and get you national exposure, just like the Legends do. This is the way I look at it. So you got Minnesota there where they're down to one pavement track. And so Elko is forced to, run a lot of double features and things of that nature. But basically what Jacob Cady does, that's his home track, and then he sneaks over to La Crosse for a while. And when Madison was doing it, he was down there and earning points. And when you are running for the national thing, you got to have your top 18 best finishes of the year, right? And as a track, one date counts. If you have double features at your track, it only counts for one date. But if you're a racer and you have double features, that counts as 2 dates. So you can add them to your total. So you take your top 18 best finishes for a national where you're competing for the $25,000 to win. And you can throw out anything that's past 18. You just take your top 18 best. For regional, you take your top 14 best finishes.
All right, Jerry.
Yep.
It's a lot to it. We appreciate you taking the time. But we are speaking of time. We're out of it. So we'll talk to you in the very near future.
Have a great weekend.
Thanks for being.
All right.
God, there's a lot to it. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. I know I said we were going to have Lance Allen on. We'll have him on next week. How about that? That'll be perfect. And for all of us here, we would like everybody to remember that real race cars have doors, even if they do climb in through the windows. Let's Talk NASCAR is produced and directed by Dangerous Dan Margetta. Our astute engineer is Matt Losi. He don't even know what astute means. And we appreciate you tuning in. We'll see you next week, everybody.
This program has come to you live from multiple locations via Skype. Any and all comments expressed on this show do not necessarily express the opinions of this station, its employees, or advertisers. Your comments are always welcome at mail@ltnradionetwork.com. Find us at facebook.com/LTN Radio Network. And thank you for your support since 1985. Tune in again next Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Central Time for the LTN Hour on the LTN Radio Network.